Since the last 3 weeks, since Secretary Pompeo said, you need to quit, you need to cease and desist from bombing civilian areas, the Saudis have dropped 200 bombs on civilian areas in Hodeidah. They're not getting the message. If we want to send them a message and send them a message loud and clear, we need to tell them no more arms. One time, we should stand up and we should send a message from the Senate to the President that we're in charge under Article 1, Section 8, declaration of war comes from Congress. We have abdicated for too long that role, and my hope is today that there will be enough of us to send a message, and the message should be loud and clear. We should end, the U.S. should end their involvement in the war in Yemen. Thank you, Mr. President, Madam President.
Madam President.
The senator from New Jersey.
Madam President, I ask unanimous consent to speak for 5 minutes with the chairman as well, as chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, to be split between us.
Madam President, reserving the right to object.
Senator from Kentucky.
We had an agreement to have an hour's worth of debate where the opponents of the bill were given 30 minutes and the proponents of the bill were given 30 minutes. And the unanimous consent allowed me the remaining 30 minutes, and the time period has expired. So I think really we ought to go by some rules and structure around here, and those who are against the bill should come in the allotted time. The time was used by all kinds of other people talking about things not related to the debate. I think it does a disservice to the debate that we did that.
The senator from New Jersey.
Thank you. I rise in opposition to the resolution. As we evaluate the resolution, we've got to consider the characteristics of a specific military system, the context which will be used, as well as how we utilize arms sales as a foreign policy tool. Now, I have much in common with Senator Paul on the question of Yemen. I have moved in his direction. The Saudis have had their opportunity. I am promoting legislation with several of our colleagues on a bipartisan basis. But this vote is not Yemen. It is not Saudi Arabia. It is not the United Arab Emirates. It is Bahrain. And Bahrain is a critical ally to us. It hosts the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet, providing a vital naval base from which the United States protects its national security interests in the Gulf and throughout the region. And its willingness to host our naval forces also places Bahrain at greater risk from attack from Iran and terrorist groups seeking to do harm to the United States. It's also a security partner as it comes to piracy, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and Iran. It hosted an Israeli UNESCO delegation in late June. Now, I have great disagreement with the Bahrainians as it relates to their human rights record. It's abhorrent. It's abhorrent. And we're going to continue to fight on that issue with them. But at the end of the day, halting the sale of weapons intended to defend Bahrain's security is not the solution in this particular case.
Senator from Tennessee.
Madam President, I want to thank the ranking member for his comments, his friendship, and welcome him back. And I look forward to his leadership on foreign policy issues for many, many years. I share his views. I have concerns about the trajectory that Saudi Arabia is on right now. Have concerns about the war in Yemen. We've had hearings. We have people on our committee that are trying to take steps to deal with the war in Yemen. Obviously, very upset with what has happened with the journalists. I think a price needs to be paid. I know the administration today sent out notice that they were sanctioning 17 of the individuals that were involved. Hopefully additional steps will be made. I've asked for a high-level briefing with Mattis, Pompeo, and Gina Haspel to come in as soon as we get back to share with us what is happening with Saudi Arabia on both fronts, both Yemen and what is happening as it relates to the journalist who was assassinated, in my opinion, at the direction of the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. So I have a lot of concerns. I think when you have concerns, though, you address those concerns to the people that you have concerns with. Bahrain is not one of those. Bahrain certainly has had some issues with human rights, and we have dealt with those. It is a city-state in the Persian Gulf where we have 7,800 men and women in uniform who are protecting our interests there, who are a buffer against Iran. And for us to block sales, offensive sales to the country of Bahrain that is housing one of our most important naval bases over something that has nothing to do with them but has something to do with another country is not a pragmatic nor a sensible step. So I hope that we will oppose this. I think that we will. I understand the senator from Kentucky's frustrations. I do. He shares those many times in the Foreign Relations Committee. I do understand those, but it seems to me that taking something out on a country that's unrelated to what is happening is a very inappropriate and not a mature step for the United States Senate to take, and I hope we will soundly defeat this. I yield the floor.
Madam President.
The senator from Kentucky.
Let's be very clear. Bahrain does have something to do with the war in Yemen. They are part of a 9-country coalition. They have lost soldiers in Bahrain. They have flown bombing missions. Bahrain is an intimate part of the coalition fighting the war. So you might ask yourself, is it enough to do nothing? We're going to put sanctions on people who are in jail. You think they care? They're probably going to be beheaded. Sanctions is a way of pretending to do something and doing nothing. The arms sales. I'm not saying we never sell arms to Bahrain. I'm saying one time we don't. That might get them the message. People say, we don't like the human rights record of Bahrain. It's abominable. But do you think they will react to weakness? Please don't hurt your people. Please don't commit atrocities on the majority Shia population. No, quit selling them arms one time and they'll sit up and they'll say, let's have a talk. People respect strength. We don't show strength unless we do something that is more dramatic than putting sanctions on people who are already in prison. This is about Saudi Arabia, but it's also about the coalition of 9 countries of which Bahrain is. If you think meek words will stop the Saudis, listen to this. Pompeo said 3 weeks ago, Pompeo said that they should cease all bombing of civilian centers. How many bombs have dropped on Hodeidah since he asked them to cease? 200 bombs have dropped on Hodeidah, the port where the humanitarian aid needs to come in for a starving population, since we told them not to. We need to be stronger. It is a sense of weakness. It is a display of weakness not to at least block one arms sales. This is a modest proposal, and it's the least we can do.